Hi, guys. My name is Thaon Simms, and welcome to the Limitless podcast. Joining us as always is your co host, Dr. Matthew Preston. Hail up the people, and Matthew.
Hey guys, what's good?
Excellent, excellent. Guys, today we really just came here to talk about stocks. And I think we should probably make this like a stocks we're going to be looking at for this quarter, maybe. I don't know. We were just talking before on the phone, and we're just like, yo, we need to just hop on a call and actually just record something. Because it's been a long time we've done yes, we did a stocks to watch last year, right, with Shanice for 2025 for the entire year. And you guys can check that
a whole
out.
different year.
Yeah. Yeah, for the whole year. But I feel like there's some plays or some stocks that we'll be looking at for this specific quarter of the year. So January to March. So let's call this maybe stocks to watch Q1. Yeah. So I have a few stocks that I'm really looking at this quarter. Some that aren't mentioned in that previous episode. I know a lot of you guys watch that, so hopefully you find some gems.
You can watch it. We'll probably drop a link. Try to drop a link here or in the description on YouTube.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm bullish on this year still. Even there have been signs, even this quarter, of certain stocks revving up and so on. So, how you feeling? How you feeling about this year on the market?
I think it can be a good year. You just have to buckle down, do your research, and yeah.
Okay. So, you want me to go first?
Yeah, sure.
I can pick anything. Main market, junior market, anything. Okay. So I'm pulling up My Money JA, guys. If you don't know, we have a discount code for My Money JA. Just type in code Limitless. All right, code Limitless, and Limitless gives you what does it give you? Like 5% off. Good deal, because My Money JA is actually real. It's if you want to get into stocks and actually do research seamlessly, there's no better platform. No, not even JSC's website. You can get data like My Money JA. So yeah, guys, check it out. I think the first stock, I just scrolled through my own. I see you pulled up yours. I think the first stock I'll probably do is maybe RPL. Let's talk about RPL. Funny enough, RPL was the first tickers I did. I think the first tickers we did together was Learn. Yes. Yes. So RPL was the second. Tickers is our series where we do like a deep dive into a lot of these companies and so on. But RPL is Regency Petroleum Company Limited. They listed a couple of years ago on the stock exchange, now on the junior market. Really, as the company, it's a petroleum company, right? So they sell a lot of those kind of products. They sell two specific arms of, I guess, petroleum. So they have like LPG, which is mainly in bulk, right? And they also have like automotive fuel, so gas stations and those kind of stuff. So those are the things they really sell. So yes, they do. They're a retailer. And if you want to learn more about the company, I mean, you can click that tickers episode, because that was a great episode. And I like RPL for several different reasons, not just because the IPO made me money and so on, but I think it's a nice stock.
They listed at what, $1?
I think it's just
$1.
Yeah, $1. Pretty sure it was $1. Pretty sure it's $1. GK actually listed them. Grace Kennedy.
Big up Ryan.
Big up Ryan. We haven't had Ryan on the podcast, and I need to note to self, get Ryan back on the podcast. Guys, if you want to see Ryan on the podcast, Ryan has actually left GK now. I wonder what that means for, the cap markets over by GK. We'll see. But Ryan, I know, had a very, he had a, I don't know, he calls himself, he's a rainmaker, literally. And, he helped to bring a lot of these companies to market through GK and so on. So let's see what happens next for Ryan. I wish him all the best. And I hope he'll continue doing what he was doing before, which would be great for a lot of these companies that want to list and for the stock exchange. But when we're talking about RPL, right? So I spoke about them, why I like them and their whole market expansion specifically into, the automotive fuel. Because yes, they're expanding in cooking gas, but it's not like a super, sexy way of doing it, like mergers and acquisitions and stuff like that, like maybe like a Fesco, but they are doing that organically, right? However,
well, they already, because by the time they listed, because I remember like comparing them to Fesco. I think Fesco was a gas station company or retailer, and then they were going into cooking gas or LPG, versus RPL was really a LPG or cooking gas company that then was starting to go into the gas station. So it's a bit of the reverse. So it was faster for Fesco to do that, because RPL had already done all of that before listing, versus Fesco then having to build all of that infrastructure. Precisely. So I do think it made sense for Fesco to just, okay, hey, there's a competitor, let's just buy them. And yeah,
it's much easier when you do, well, I wouldn't say much easier, but you get quicker access to the market when you just,
it usually can be quicker.
When you just buy our next company, although that's also risky. But with RPL though, I like the fact that they've been pushing into, so before the IPO, they had one service station, or I would say half a service station, but let's give them full credit. They had one service station, and it was, where was it? It was in Savannah Lamar, I believe, right? And then when they listed, they opened up a second station, Paradise Pen, and then a third station in Negril. Right, that was a bit after they listed. Maybe I don't know if it was a year after they listed that Negril was open. I've passed by Negril, wanted to buy gas, but they were closed on the Sunday. But that's fine. They're doing pretty well without opening on a Sunday, and I like those kind of initiatives. A lot of people may not like it, but I do. Right? Yeah. And now, I don't know if you saw the Gleaner recently, but I think a couple of days ago they opened up their fourth company-owned location, and that is off Spanish Town Road, like in Trenchtown. Yeah, the Spanish Town Road. So that has, I think, pumps with, on either on either side. So yeah, that's the article that was, I think, published January 29th. And that was open. Yeah. Big grand opening. So it's good because you could see what the previous gas stations actually did for them. And so them opening up into Kingston now, because this is the first time they have this footprint with a gas station in Kingston, in town. And you can think about it, like the amount of traffic that drives on Spanish Town Road, it's immense. Like it's a lot of vehicles. And if you compare that to maybe like a Savannah Lamar, where there are other branches, or a Negril or Paradise Pen, pretty sure it's volumes more than, their other service stations on the other side of the island. So they could get a lot more business. It's a lot more gas being sold. So yeah, I thought that was a huge move, huge move for them to finally move into Kingston. And it's been a lot of delays, but yeah, it
was initially supposed to be, was it late 2023 or mid 2024?
I feel like it was mid 2024, and I think they got 200 mil. It's a loan.
No, wait, this article says, oh no, yeah, this one's September. I think there was one where it was, yeah, I'll check back. But yeah, it was supposed to be, like they had delays and stuff, which is, I guess, any company. Something you have to just learn that, okay, they'll say a date. They'll say, okay, we expect to make the acquisition by this, we expect to close this deal by this, but naturally, like, I guess over time, even though sometimes they do actually, do it on time, I'm learning now to like factor in like a grain of salt. So it's like, if I'm thinking to buy something because, I'm expecting this deal to close, and like, for example, even something like RPL, you could have bought it saying, hey, when this gas station comes into play, and then they're going to expect much more revenues, much more profits, and then people may then even want to buy that before, and then even after when they start to see some of those profits and it comes out in the news.
Yeah.
And then what can they do with the more revenues, profits, and whatever they can earn from that? You could say, okay, I'm going to buy. You could wait. So you could like, oh, maybe I'm going to wait closer because, I don't expect. Or you could just say, okay, I'm going to buy. And then, if it gets delayed, maybe there's other things that I think, it's not like, oh, the business isn't good without it because they have the other gas stations, as you mentioned. Because if you were like, look at this article was August 23rd, 2024. So you could have bought August 20. Oh, the market wasn't open that day. Yeah, you could have bought at like 227 then.
And
then actually look at when this, I did the last. Oh, nice.
Yeah, my average price is literally around there too. No, because I've been buying and selling. If people follow me, they've known that I like RPL as a company. Because I did the tickers, and before, I think maybe a year ago, it was on my 2024 stocks to watch, and so on. So I like it. It's tightly held. Andrew owns most of the company, right? And I love
yeah, that's something like that I actually noticed when I was reading an RPL the other day, because I remember we were having like a conversation with someone and we were talking about like gas station, and there was gas station company, and then investing there was like Fesco versus RPL, but then that was one of the things I was kind of comparing, because like with the RPL, it's actually so tightly held, and I was just like, wow, look at this.
In fact, before listing, he was the only shareholder. It was him and his wife, and then his wife, I think, sold to him or something, but the only shareholders.
Look at this. This is 94% is in the top 10.
Yeah.
And then look at the... wow, GK actually sold. Interesting. I know Barita is in there. But yeah, like when I look at something like this, like one of the reasons I notice is that when you have these stocks that if the shares that are freely traded are like a small amount, right? And there's like, say there's a lot of people, well, like the shares are kind of concentrated in the top owners, and then the top owners sometimes could be people that maybe don't even want to sell. It's like, that means that the shares that are available for everyone else to trade are going to be kind of less, especially if, good things are starting to happen. Maybe those people that would more likely trade their shares, like maybe someone with maybe a shorter time horizon, like a year, 2 years.
Exactly.
If they then don't want to sell, then, I think good things are coming. Like the price I've seen stocks like this where like the breeze can blow and the price fly.
And remember the thing we like too, when management owns piece of the company.
And he owns the maximum amount he can own.
Exactly. Look at that. Right on that 80% max mark that he can own.
And say Fesco is 77%. So you can see how the top 10 owns 77%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So with RPL, that's also another thing we love when managers own, because imagine now after doing, you're sitting down as CEO, you're grinding, you're getting these, milestones hit, you open 4 locations and so on, right? After a few months, why not pay yourself a nice dividend and the other shareholders a nice dividend? Because I don't think they've paid a dividend since listing. I'm not sure. I'd have to double check that, but I can't recall them paying a dividend since listing. So, and when it's a company similar to Fesco, and if Fesco has paid dividends, it's when I think of companies within the same industry or even very similar companies like cash type businesses and those kind of businesses. If one company pays a dividend, it's likely that another company can pay a dividend, as long as they're still well profitable and all of those, and cash flows are good. And so I see a dividend on the horizon for them too. Maybe this year. I feel like this year they'd probably pay their first dividend, to be honest.
It could be much though.
It doesn't matter. It's just it's not to me, because I don't really invest for dividends. But the capital gains are nice. because they closed at what, 340? It traded as high as 355. Wow. Yeah. So I do like RPL. And the thing is, the next station that they're opening is Coco.
We said the next one, as in
this one. Sorry, that they've opened.
Oh,
my apologies.
Okay, that they've opened. Okay.
Yeah, it's a company-owned, company-operated service station.
The thing is, I doubt that's.
What?
Hold on. When was it the station? What was the exact day you said the station opened?
A couple days ago. January.
As in January.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So we're not going to see a full quarter's worth.
No, yeah, I'm just trying to think about the actual timing of a dividend, because if they just bought this, well, they didn't buy the station, but I guess they would have been still like finishing up construction and stuff. You'd probably see like they'd have like expenses related to that, and maybe it may take a while for the station to really kick in. So I'm just trying to even think like even if they were to pay a dividend, it probably wouldn't be till like maybe later down in the year.
Yeah.
I think really have that much cash.
Agreed. And when I look at some of the things that the CEO has said, he said he wants to see what the profitability is like after a couple quarters. So if I'm timing him right, and it's actually
he said that in relation. He said that in relation to paying the dividend.
Not in relation to paying dividend. He just said profitability. I need to find the article.
When does Fesco? One of the things we should mention. I remember in our tickers with RPL, we were talking about that Fesco is actually planning to do gas station on the same road. So that's even something that would be interesting, because RPL has basically a head start to getting that, to building out that. When is Fesco's timeline?
This year, September.
So wait, when was that they said that though? I see this article June 2024 from our Today.
Yeah, I think it's that one.
Hold on. They said 24th location, 15 months to execute. And remember, once again, we said, okay, yes, it will say 15 months, but give or take a bit to execute, with the company anticipating its opening during the second quarter of 2025. So it'll be April, May, June. Oh wait, is this their? Oh wait, this is saying July to September. Oh, so that's their financial year. That's their financial quarter. Yeah, July to September, and it's January. Well, it's February now. So all of February, all of March, all of April. So February, March, April, May, June, and then he's given a range. So July, August, September. So RPL could have like a. You're saying the station opened. Well, when you said this month, you mean January, actually. So that the RPL station opened.
Yes, it opened January. Late January.
RPL could end up having essentially like a 9 to 12 months head start. Another thing that's fiscal, and you also have to like even check it, because they said that in the June. You meant it's the article we're reading. You mentioned that was June last year. That's almost a year ago.
So it could have delays.
So, no, I'm just saying, like, checking a more recent source. So this report, which would have been up to September, Fisco's report, they probably would have mentioned it here in it. It says, it's a commenced
yeah, that's what it's called.
The
Fesco
commenced
Oval.
construction. One of the things I do rate about Fesco is that and I've heard it on, is it earnings calls or investor briefings? I think they had one with like Mayberry. If I might try to put a clip of something in there, but like Jeremy Barnes, CEO, big him up, and we'd love him to have him on the podcast. He spoke about how what they do is that they try to create like an experience, so they don't just make it a gas station. You go to the gas station just to get gas. It's like they try to build other things that you want. So like the one, what's the other one there that everyone?
You mean by
Ferry, yeah, like that ferry one. I think it has like a tasty, like a little supermarket kind of thing, or a little store, and
like a convenience store. But too? Guess who has that too? Same RPL. RPL actually has that exact same model where Andrew talked about modeling it off of first world type companies and so on. So sorry, he has, because yes, Fesco had like, I think Fesco also had like Mr. Breakfast partnership and all of those things. But when you look on RPL's website, I think we went through it before, where if you if you're like a member or so on, you get a free pastry and a
I
free
think Fesco
coffee
does that too.
after you pay a certain amount for gas or something like that. And there's like a whole
But
membership club.
Are there pictures of RPLs? Oh, I see. Hold on, CBX network.
Oh, there's a YouTube video.
Yeah.
Yes, that YouTube video.
Actually, you know, this is put on by I think the JSE, you know.
Really?
Yeah, as in the CBX. I think it's the Jamaica Stock Exchange that does it.
Oh,
So
I do
big
follow
up, I
them.
like that
And
day.
one thing I think it's that video, I think they give taxi drivers 7% discount on gas or something like that. So you'll see like a lot of public passenger vehicles at RPL. And I think that's such a brilliant strategy because like if you're just launching, you know, a new service station in a new region, this is Kingston and so on, you need traffic, right? You need volumes, and the best way is to get the taxi man them, because who burn more gas than taxi man them?
You don't think I wonder if they should have done more than 4 pumps though? Because, like, for example, the ferry. Well, I guess
I don't know if the regulations. I don't know. There could be a lot of different.
Like, okay, comparing the traffic on ferry versus Spanish Town Road, which would you say?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. I'm trying to think like which one, because like the ferry one we're talking about, that one. Out of my head, I know that. I'm pretty sure that has more than 4, right? More than 4 pumps.
Ferry has mostly
right?
about 8. Ferry should have maybe about 8. Hold on, I'm breaking up. One second.
Yeah, I was just thinking. I was using the, Google Maps can show traffic data, and their RPL's gas station actually shows up on the map. So then I was like, oh, I could see.
Check that link I sent you. Do you remember where we were talking about or where we left off?
We're just talking about the location. I won't be able to play the audio though. It's just
YouTube. But going back to my point, so I was saying, if you are opening up a new gas station, right, in Kingston now, you've never been in Kingston, and so you really need a catalyst in order to get a lot more customers. And I think what RPL has done, and the people are targeting to, I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of taxi men, right? They, boil my blood daily, but I mean, if somebody was to get a discount, I don't mind it being taxi man. I think if it's public passenger vehicles, you're taking people from point A to point B and so on, right? You might as well give them a discount because those things do have a knock-on effect down to the customer, and the customer is just regular, hardworking people. So I like the strategy in order to get a lot more, customers in as quickly as possible. It's aggressive, giving them discounts and so on. And
I guess it's interesting too because you mentioned Fesco is on the same. Well, Fesco will eventually be on the same road as them, and then if RPL is giving the discount to the taximan, and if there are a lot of taximen driving on that road, that then puts pressure, because then if the taximan can go either gas stations on, unless it's like, I guess I'd have to know the road better, but if it's just like a straight road or whatever, then if it's just okay, you could just turn left here or just drive up a little more, maybe 2 minutes, 5 minutes, and then turn left there. And then one of them is, you said, was 7% less, and you're doing that multiple times, like you're probably gonna go to unless it's, for example, if Fesco's offering, taxmen don't like to wait.
Yeah.
So then if it's like everyone is rushing that gas station and you're waiting in long lines, and then you could just pay a little more, but then pick up more passengers. So I guess it'll be interesting. Like some competition.
Right now, Fesco is not there. So, and I want to see if you've looked previously at, how RPL has been doing with just Negril and Paradise Pen, really, and of course, their profits, their revenues went up exponentially. It was over 100%. I'm pretty sure. It was 100 and enough
revenue.
percent.
So 2022 versus 2023, they did 35% more revenue. Then this year isn't finished yet, but so far they're tracking ahead.
So when you compare that, when they didn't have those two and then you put the revenues of those two on top. It's crazy. And then they're both company. I like the fact that it's company owned, company operated, because the company will get the revenues and so on instead of dealer owned. Because RPL has a dealer owned, dealer operated service station in Westmoreland, White Corn. I can't remember where the place is specifically, but I know it's in. I'm pretty sure it's in Westmoreland. That's the one I think they took over from Fesco, I believe. I don't know if you remember something like that, but it's dealer owned, dealer operated, barely adds to their revenues. But yeah, Spanish Town. So I'm bullish on Spanish Town, and I think the market perception of, okay, now they opened up a new one. It's in Kingston. It's on one of the busiest roads in Kingston, because Spanish Town Road is huge, right? So it's on one of the busiest roads in Kingston too. So the expectation is that, yes, business could be booming. So I feel like the market will react to it. I mean, they've already been reacting to it. I think that rise has been partially because of it, in terms of that rise that you can see from
That's
like
actually
November till now.
I was saying it's actually funny. Like, have you looked at the
PE.
You know, like I guess a lot of analysts may look at this. Do you know how the analysts feel about this one, this stock?
Well, we don't invest based on what the analysts say. So sorry, analysts, but you know, sometimes those things can be wrong.
Yeah, I'm looking
in terms
at it
of
now. The PE is 65. You know, a lot of people would say that's actually. I think the junior market's average price to earnings ratio is like 20 or so.
Yeah, it's like 22 or
20. So. Well, actually, 24.5. So it's actually quite above the
almost 3
junior
times
market's average. Because I was trying to see. I guess that's the thing. You'd have to project. I'm wondering how. Have you actually done projections on the new gas station?
No, I haven't. I actually haven't done projections yet. A bit. I'm wondering how to project, because you could project based on how much they're already doing in revenues in Westmoreland and so on.
I'd look at
or you'd compare like a Fesco and the amount of pumps. And
I was thinking to look at the quarters, like before they open certain gas stations, and then look at within that quarter, but you'd have to like try to find out the specific time that the gas station opened, and then that's still a rough estimate, because just because that one increased it by this much doesn't mean this one is, you know.
Yeah.
And then also probably do some, I don't know, I'm trying to wonder if you could work out like the traffic on like Spanish Town Road and stuff.
Honestly,
like that.
would I just take if it was like, let's say I put my entire portfolio in RPL, right? I would be out there, park up my car for a few hours every single day or the entire day, and I would literally just count. Or I'd ask the people that work there and be like, yo, how much car you think you service for the day? Right? Like how many people pass through here? So is it increasing? Those are the kind of stuff I want to know. Are they still closing? I think they're still closed on a Sunday, right? What's the high point of traffic? Is it in the mornings, evenings? You know, which days do people buy gas the most? Those are the kind of questions I'd have to ask to kind of get a rough estimate as to how I project their earnings. But it's doable. It's definitely doable. I haven't done any rough projections yet, but I could. Definitely could do some rough projections. But yeah, definitely a good. The only thing I am wary of RPL is, I don't know. I remember one time they said they would raise capital, and I'm always wary of any company that's willing to do like an APO. And I don't know if they would do an APO.
How much room do they have
looks like. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm trying to remember how much room they have to raise money, because I guess the junior market limit coming in too, that actually gives them possibly some more. Let's pull another report.
Sure.
So check the share capital. Where it's not coming up in the search.
Yeah.
So based on their latest financial issued capital, share capital. So yeah, I searched up the issued capital in the report. This is a report up to the 9 months of September 2024. They raised 260 mil. So they actually, even without the junior market limit being raised, they can raise some money. They can actually raise quite a good amount of money. 750 minus 260, that's 490. Yeah, just under 500 mil.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess depending on the fees, the company could get like 450, 400 mil. So yeah, I guess they could. And I guess they are kind of low on cash, but I mean the gas stations hopefully should come into play with that.
It would be cool if they did
So
a
yeah,
rights issue, to be honest. Because, like, imagine this stock now trading at $4 with increased revenues, and you say, yo, rights issue, $1. $1 rights issue price. All right. I see that going to the moon.
One of the things, though, have you factored in GK right now? Interesting that they're still kind of interesting that they sold some. But yeah, GK Investments,
they've been buying.
Grace Kennedy, they are the second largest shareholder. They own 8.53%. I mentioned that if RPL were to do an equity raise, GK would likely buy into it. And then, as you say, even if it's rights issue, APO, whatever, it probably would be an APO though. But even if it was a rights issue, so they say, okay, let's create some new shares, or whatever equity raise, create some new shares. We either offer it to the existing shareholder rights issue, or anybody, existing shareholders, outside shareholders. You realize that depending on how much money GK is willing to put into this, means that GK could then end up owning 20% or more of RPL.
True.
And then instead of booking share price, I think the rules would say that they'd become associated with RPL, and then because of the accounting rules, and then they wouldn't really care necessarily about the share price.
It's possible, and you'll see like those quarterly movements. So one to watch. Definitely one to watch. I do like RPL. I remember about Fesco. I do like RPL for those same reasons that we spoke about. And looking at top 10, it is possible. Yeah. Unfortunate that they could possibly,
even if it was a rights issue, even if say Andrew didn't want to put out, like, he'd renounce his rights, GK, my guess would be GK would probably buy maybe Barito.
Or Barito.
But it's interesting that they bought so much. Wow. Who did they were just buying on the market? Or is it, hold on, because GK had up to June 2024, GK had 132. Then GK sold 9.8, and then Glenn, how much is that? 9.8, that's 10, 17. I'm wondering if it's really Barita bought from this guy Glenn Sabul and GK Investments.
Well, you can check, because that date would have been September 3rd, 2024. You can see on the 16 trades were made, but the volume is 18 mil shares at $2.20. Oh, that day.
And we can check that prior after.
Yeah, we're going too deep, and it's just our stocks to watch, and we're on our first stock. If you guys want us to do a whole analysis or so on, I mean, we already did one on RPL, but hey, let us know what your thoughts are in the comments. Let's just say that we'll have a discussion in the comments, because we would love to hear what you guys have to say. But RPL definitely want to watch again. Definitely want to watch. So what about you, Preston? What stocks are catching your eye these days?
Let me pull up the list. So one of the ones that I've found interesting, it's actually not a hot stock right now. A lot of people,
that's my favorite,
are I guess that the market is giving it a beating. But I don't really necessarily mind. I mean, IPCL, Image Plus Consultants Limited. This is one of the,
also known as,
people might say, failed IPOs. Apex
Radiology.
People say it's one of the failed IPOs, just because it isn't above IPO price right now. They are we did a Tickers episode on them too, so that works out pretty nicely. So you guys can do like a deep dive on them. Basically, they own a lot of imaging businesses or imaging branches. So if you're someone, you go to a doctor and they're like, hey, you need a X-ray ultrasound. Yeah, if you doing your yearly mammograms, if you reach that age, you're doing your CT scans, MRIs, whatever, they have those scans available for you. So they are one of those companies that you can go to. I would say they might be the largest, but I'm trying to remember. Did they speak about that in the prospectus? If they're not the largest, they're one of the largest. But one of the reasons I guess I've been watching them is that you mentioned that they've been like kind of dropping quite nicely, Like you realize that this IPO'd at $2. They were able to raise. How much was it they raised? How much they raised?
I'm not sure. I remember they raised through JMMB though. I remember JMMB was the lead broker on the IPO and it was at $2. This was during the pandemic. This was like what, 2022? 2021? 2022?
Oh, the invitation opens end of 2022. I think it listed early 2023.
There we go.
Yeah, let me see how much they raised. So they said up to it's 247.
Okay,
well,
so
200,
basically $500 million.
Yeah. So they actually basically raised. I could have just checked the most recent financial to see the share capital or the issued share. Well, issued capital. Yeah, just under 500 mil. So they're at the time, the junior market limit is 500. So that's the most like a junior market company can raise at a time, and then it's supposed to be increased to 750 soon. So that may give them some more room. But yeah, I'd say the reason I guess I'm watching them. Yeah, people realize that you don't always have to be watching it. First off, watching don't mean you're buying. Watching can just literally mean I'm literally just watching it and say, okay, what's going on in the business? Maybe I haven't seen what I want to see to buy it, but I think that there may be a point. And I mean, the thing is, I've been watching it for a while.
Yeah.
And look at it, like this stock, as I said, we said listed at $2. People are willing to give $500 million at $2. It is now at $1.41. Since listing, how much percent decreases that?
That's quite a heavy decrease, to be honest. And you can look at the chart, it's just been tumbling.
My manager is supposed to be able to tell you. So yeah, it's down 30%. You're getting it 30% cheaper. You know? But yeah, one of the reasons I guess I've been watching them, they are going through a pretty, it's a tough time. So they are working on expanding. They bought this property to set up. Basically, what they were doing was like, they have these different branches, whatever, and they're like, hey, we have a main branch now, but the main branch is kind of small and stuff. We want to have a new main branch, bigger, more space. We can do more machines. We can add in like places where doctors can. I think they'd like maybe have. I think they were gonna possibly rent out parts of it too. So it's like, okay, you could. Maybe there's doctors' offices there or health. Maybe it could be like a health center, like maybe some healthy food places. So it's like maybe so the type of person who maybe needs a scan or something could go there for other reasons. So they bought the property. I'm trying to remember when exactly they bought the property. It should be in their financials. Cash flow. They bought so the cash flow up to November 2023. I think this is the purchase of property and plant. That's the 873 mil. Well, part of that maybe were machines, but yeah, they bought. Maybe I can find it. So hold on. Image plus Apex buys new property. Good old friend Google.
Yeah, surprised you're still Googling.
Oh, versus Perplexity.
Yeah.
Trying to see if I can
November
find
28th, 2024 is what I'm seeing. 0.73 acre property in Kingston 5.
I'm trying to see. Or maybe I should have checked the next report then.
So which will be developed into a multi-level facility intended to serve as the new home for its existing branch at 3A Winchester Road. So this acquisition is a significant step towards enhancing.
It showed how much it cost. But the point was like, it costs, so they're going to do that. It's going to hopefully help them make more money, but like it was a big cost on them, right? Yeah. And I think they financed it. I think part of it was cash. and then part of it was a loan from JMMB, the JMMB bank. And if you look at it, so because of that big, that big purchase, financially they're like cash wise, like for example, this is a report up to November 2024. They're actually in a deficit in terms of cash. They had to, I think, do a bank overdraft or something. Where was it? Repayment of
borrowings.
Maybe it wasn't bank
you guys
overdraft,
are
but
taking
they're
a look at how we analyze the businesses. But yeah,
but like for example, they had to spend a lot of cash. Cause I remember they were pretty cash heavy at some point, and then because they've been like they have heavy financing, the machines are expensive, the complex was expensive. Like as we saw, they're spending hundreds of millions of dollars. Like that's millions of US dollars they have to be spending on this stuff, right? Yeah. And remember, some of this stuff is not really gonna pay off very quickly, because even the complex. I'm trying to remember when they said about timeline on
the complex actually being complete.
Because I think it was. Hold on. I asked some questions at the earnings call. I think they did answer it. I don't know if there was an article written about it. So if I can, I'll also put maybe the clip in there where they show where they tell you like when it's supposed to open. But the point was, okay, they're facing these heavy costs. They're not really in such a good position. And I know like even they were having issues with even like downtime. And then there was even something about, you remember that the Ministry of Health, essentially what the ministry used to do, like say you're at a public hospital like KPH, and then you need a CT scan, you have some belly problem, acute abdomen, whatever. You want to do a CT scan to look in the belly to say, okay, is it this organ is big or swelling up or cancer or whatever? Then you'd want to do a CT scan, but the CT scan machine is broken at KPH.
Which it always is down.
If it was, maybe it's the off chance it's broken.
You mean every day?
What they did was like, okay, we'll partner with some of these private companies so that the patient who is in the public hospital, the government, the public will pay for their scan, but they'll go somewhere else. So they'll like set up a ambulance, bring them to say Apex, Elite, whichever other imaging companies there are, and then bring them back. And then the government would essentially do an IOU. So for example, even like companies like Apex, they had receivables. Like there was money that they were supposed to receive.
Yeah.
From the government, and sometimes it would take a little while and stuff, but they did. There were some, I think, somewhat collecting on the receivables. But then I think recently the government was actually working on reducing the funding to that program or shutting it down.
They cut it. They cut it completely. Closer to the end of last year, they just cut funding to that entire program. So if you really and truly need a scan, you just go have to fork out the money.
I'm trying to remember where.
And you know what's crazy about that is at IPO, if you look in the prospectus for Apex, you could see that about 25% of their revenues is from that government program.
That down,
yeah, right in the prospectus. I'm almost sure I can see the pie chart. It's about 25% of them, of the revenue, is from government. So that when that funding is cut, now you automatically, yes, these patients still need scans, but not all of them are gonna get it, right? And if you have like a good relationship with a hospital, where the hospital is actually sending Apex most of its patients through this government program, and now that get cut, they're probably gonna try and find another alternative, maybe a cheaper alternative or closer or whatever, right? So I can see that their business and their revenues would be affected by something like this, because we can't see the impact yet, because I know it happened maybe a month ago or two. I don't think it's more than 2 months.
And the other thing too, that the government is actually working on
yes
some of the machines. Like what I know is like in the hospitals, a lot of the machines the government used to buy, these machines are very, very expensive. I don't think people realize some of these machines cost like $1 million US plus. Or like serious money, and you have to import it and whatever. So they'd buy the machine, but then the problem was they couldn't maintain it. because like I don't think we have enough of the engineers readily available for some of the stuff, and we don't necessarily always have the parts. So it's
The
like you're buying the super expensive thing. It's like you buy the bimmer, and you can't afford it when you crash it, or to buy a tire
or
when the
the
tire
warranty.
busts.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so that was a problem. So like a lot of it's like not that we didn't have the machines, but they'd buy them and then they couldn't afford them. So they were like, okay, let's fix this up. What we'll do is actually start leasing it. So I think the government is actually, there was a, I'll pull up this article. I think it went into so this was January news. So this is a Gleaner article, January 19th, 2025. New scanners at hospitals said unlikely to impact private markets. So this was apparently, I think this is the CEO of Apex. And I think they were quoting from her. Because the Jamaican government, I see the article says the Jamaican government plans to add 10 CT and 6 MRI scanners at public health facilities this year, according to a bidding document released this week by the Ministry of Health and Wellness. I don't know if I can technically you can probably find that document if it's public. So yeah, 10 CT, 6 MRIs. I don't know. They didn't really, I guess maybe the document breaks down maybe which hospitals and stuff like that. But I'm just saying like, okay.
You could guess which hospitals would be receiving some of those things, because first the type A would probably be receiving them, and the type A that needs it the most is probably KPH, based on 1, patient load, and 2, the fact that it's not always working, their machines. Maybe UE would get. Does UE need it? No, I don't know, unless they plan to replace UE's own. And I still don't know, because UE is part private, part. I don't know that relationship.
Yeah, I don't know if UE would be.
Yeah, I don't know
maybe
if
KPH. So you see that the CEO is quoted saying that she says, I'm not expecting a dramatic impact on earnings immediately, because, as I say, it's going to be a transition period. So I guess, like, for example, like they're saying they're going to do it this year, but this year could be December. And then she said that, for example, even those machines at some point will have downtime. So she's saying that she's not going to see she doesn't expect it to impact their earnings immediately. So they said the locations: Kingston, Mobay, Mandeville, Maypen, Black River, St. and Portland. And people have up to February 28th to submit bids. So it's still, at the time of recording, it's still in that process. And the article, it said even 2 dozen. We have about 2 dozen MRI.
All of this.
Yeah, we currently have about 2 dozen MRI machines in Jamaica, spread across public and private. The new machines can take 6 months to 9 months between placement and order and delivery. So yeah, but yeah, I guess one of the things I'm seeing is like some possible troubling times for them. They're just, they're having these big expenses, and I'm wondering, like, okay, with this shift, like cutting that, you mentioned that a decent part of their revenues at the time under the prospectus, I don't know, I guess how it's changed. It has been like about 2 years, was the government, and then now you're saying that
program.
Yeah, that
the
program
funding,
essentially
the funding
has
got
been
cut from that program.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see, okay, how can they navigate that? Because you may start to see some reports where they're reporting possible losses, or even negative profit. Because the last the last report was down.
Their revenues have been down.
Yeah, so revenues on the quarter 3 report, which was between September to November, revenues were down 5%, profits were down 57%.
But the quarter
before, revenues down 5%. They actually did a loss. They did a 16 mil loss versus 38 mil profits. The quarter before that, also less. That was 50% less profit. So they've been kind of, not necessarily in the best position. And going forward, I'm seeing some possible tough times for them. So I'm kind of wondering, will we see more of the stock dropping? I mean, even if you look at it in relation to the most recent report, the stock when the report was released, the stock was like $1.53. It's now $1.41. And there are not many buyers in the queue. So if anyone wants to sell this stock, they are going to, if you look at it, there are 300, if you add up the total buy orders in the queue, shows you that, okay, how many people want to buy this stock right now that have put up orders that anyone could sell into once the market is open. That's 325K versus sellers there is $4.2 million worth of people willing to sell, you know? And this is all below IPO price because these are all within below like $1.40, $1.50. So it's like there's heavy selling pressure, not much buying pressure, possible bad things to come or troubling times depending. So I'd look into, I'm like, hey, you could see this stock even imagine IPCL at $1.
Yeah.
Imagine IPCL at $1.20. And then I'm trying to say, okay, like
that's opportunity because there could be a rebound.
Turn
that's
around,
the thing with business. Business fluctuates so much, so there will always be good times, always be bad times. Yeah, definitely.
I remember there was a point. Where people were like laughing at Elite because Apex, I think, was doing really well at that time. Like they were like, yo, look, Apex, the machines are on, they're not having these issues. But then I remember there have been quarters where Apex has, had machine downtime and stuff like that. While I mean, Elite still will have its downtime and stuff. But it's funny now, like they're showing you that, hey, it's not really just specific to Elite always. Like Elite definitely does have some issues, not saying that. But yeah, I'm kind of trying to see Apex. And the other thing that is even more interesting is that the CEO, I think she hinted at an acquisition. She actually hinted at an acquisition on the earnings call when I think I asked her about it. So if I can find a clip, I'll also put that in.
Limitless again, they're asking, will we see an acquisition this year?
I would have spoken about inorganic growth opportunities, and though we're not yet ready to make a disclosure, I can say that we are far advanced in doing the work around that, and we believe if by our AGM we should have something to say about where we are with that. We're doing all the due diligence that we need to do and are far advanced discussions with at least two potential entities.
So it'll be interesting to see though, how would they be able to finance that? Because if they already don't really have much cash, they have possible heavy expenses coming up. I'm wondering, how are they finance that?
Yeah, it would be difficult. And you also contrasted Apex with Elite, but Elite looks like they're are they in a much better position? Not necessarily.
Damn,
I'm not sure.
Cash from operations last year, Apex,
they would be facing the same issues.
Yeah, but I'm just looking at this. Look at this. So this is the cash flow for the third quarter. So this would be the 9 months, right? So yeah, hold on. Maybe the 9 months then, because this is profits. 9 months, yeah. So the cash flow this year the 9 months up to November 2024, cash from operations, the actual cash the business generated was 36 mil. But last year, the same period, it was 293 mil.
Yeah.
So it's not just profit drop, cash drop significantly, yo. Wow, what hit them here? Hold on. Oh, depreciation. I guess that's the thing. Like when you buy the machines, yo, I don't know. The imaging business just seems so tough, yo. Like, look at this. The depreciation, like you have to buy the machines because you want to make more money. Because like if you're going to a place, because I don't think they themselves used to have an MRI. So you want to have the machine so that people come to your place and have a reason to come to your place.
What else did they bought something recently. They bought the mammogram. Because they never offered mammograms like, so before.
Things like mammogram, for example, I guess they're getting hit from the depreciation of that. Wow.
Yeah.
Damn.
It's tough.
Yeah, so it's like tough. Business. Yeah, and then they have a decent amount of debt. As I said, they're not in a negative cash position right now. Less cash from operations.
So why is this your stock to watch?
Loan. Yeah, bro, but it's the tough times that they're going through and then a possible turnaround.
Yeah,
I'm trying to say. But the thing is, I'm wondering if they would. And even a tough part. So even if you were to make something like an equity raise, you'd be doing
It's hard to get shareholders to buy into.
No, not even just that. But you're like, what price would they come out at? You realize that it's now below IPO price, so it's not even like the people who bought in an IPO at the $2. Imagine APO rights issue. Well, probably APO at $1. That means anyone who bought in at $2, say the price, I would say, if they announce that the price is $1.41, you realize that means the stock will probably drop to $1 because you could sell at $1.41 and then buy back in at $1. So I'm wondering. The other thing I was wondering is, could they? What I'd like to see. You notice that more and more companies have been using the market, because I remember at Mailpac, they bought My Cars Express, and then they issued shares, or they are planning to issue shares to the owners of My Cars Express. So maybe IPCL could do that.
Yeah,
that'd be interesting
if they bought a company.
Because and then essentially that's a way that one of the competitors could become listed, and then that may then shore up their business, and so you'd have like that maybe shore up their business, so you'd have like a stronger business. It's basically a faster way to become listed.
I wonder if they could. True. Wondering about even them buying something like Elite and what that would look like. But I need to look at Elites. Yeah, I don't think they could.
Yeah, I don't
based
think
on
they could. Elite
the
is in a way.
size.
Elite, if you depending on how you meant it. I don't think they could.
I don't think so either. Well, yeah, I don't know. I'd have to do some calculations and then even look at like Elite's top 10 and so on. But I don't mind Elite even right now, because look at where Elite is too. Elite is what, $1 close price, $1.76. But I remember Elite being at like $5 before the pandemic, or $4 and so on. So
$6.
$6, yeah. So what's gonna take it there? I know Stephen Gooden's a part of the top 10 now, and with his investment acumen and so on, like I was hoping to see a better turnaround from Elite, because they were actually being profitable. They were profitable in like earlier last year. I think they had 2 consistent quarters of profits, and then I'm not sure if they dropped the ball after that. I think they made a loss. Let me look at their numbers.
Most recent report, the most recent report was a loss.
Yeah. See, their most recent report was a loss. So I don't know. It's a tough industry to be in, the medical imaging industry. Very tough, because as you said, machines are expensive, and then now the possibility of less patients. Like I can't see, even though I know the CEO of Apex said, it may not hit them now. I can't see it not hitting them now, when a lot of your patients come from public. But one to always watch. I do like, as an investor, not as a human being, but as an investor, to see companies go through these kind of turbulent times, because it's just like, this is where profit is actually made. If you can see an cycle,
like it's almost like, people talk about like happiness and sadness. Like if you were forever happy, nothing ever goes wrong in your life. It's almost like you just get used to it, and then you wouldn't really be happy. It's almost like going through the sad times.
You never truly appreciate, how happy you are.
Like going through the sad times is what actually makes you happy, because you can be like, oh wait, I remember there was that time that I'm sad, and now I'm having that comparison. So it's just the same thing there,
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's not the first time Apex has gone through tough times. I remember this is just us being able to see their financials now, but I'm sure there were other times where things were kind of tough. It's just part of the business cycle,
Yeah.
Do I have to be a shareholder? No, not necessarily. But it has. I can buy 30% below IPO price, and maybe I may even be able to buy 50% below IPO price. Who knows?
Guess we will see.
Yeah.
Guess we will see.
Yeah. To watch.
Another one. Yeah, another one to watch. All right, for me. Wow. We're just freestyling this, aren't we? Hold on. Oh, but hold on. Go back up. I think you go to the top. I saw. Yeah, there we are. Express Catering Limited. I do like that company, actually. And you and I were talking about Express. You're the one that actually made me start mentioning Express. So Express Catering, they they're in the food business. For Express is just heavily tied to tourism. And so it's, for me, they're easy to kind of track because of that. Because you can actually look at the flight numbers. I remember asking in our group, what the flight numbers were like for, Mobe, Sangsters International Airport. And I got the link. And it was actually down, but not down by a lot. Actually not down by a lot. Express Catering Limited. So they've been listed on the JSE for a minute. They generate revenue mainly through food and beverage services, specifically at Sangsters International Airport. And if you guys want us to do a whole tickers on them, we probably actually should. But not getting too detailed into what they do and so on. But they're the sole provider of like food and beverage services there. And so they cater to millions, literally.
Not sold technically.
Sorry, true, not sold.
Yeah,
not sold.
Most
They're
like there's a certain area that I think they have an exclusive contract in the Mobay Airport, but there are technically, well, most of it, yeah, most of it.
From your past to security, like you're leaving, but departures from your past to security, they own most of it. They're the sole provider, and so as I was saying, it's tied to tourism numbers because a significant portion of their revenue that's just linked to the amount of passengers that pass through that airport. And so you can kind of see, based on even their revenues tracking from COVID till now, how they've grown. Because during COVID, obviously, there were travel bans, we never had a lot of flights and so on. So the company was making heavy. They were doing some tough times back then. However, now you can see that the revenue has been growing steadily, and our numbers, our tourism numbers, the flight numbers are even greater than pre-pandemic 2019. That happened last year.
How much was it brought in again?
Year before, 2023. Is that three? It's like 3 mil in that airport.
No, I'm just talking about overall tourism. I know that we have this five by 2025 or something. Like, we're trying to get 5 million. I don't know if it's tourism. I think is it 5 million stopover arrivals by 2025, by the end of 2025.
I think so.
There's a goal that I think the Ministry of Tourism and stuff has set out to do.
Yeah. But for Express, why I like Express is because if you've looked at their numbers, their numbers actually are good, right? And there is some seasonality to their numbers as well. So when you think about it, when would most tourists come to Jamaica? It's when weather is adverse for them and good for us. So you're thinking even in these months, right? From like maybe November, December, January, February, March. Those are these winter months is when we get quite a bit of tourism, tourist arrivals to the Sangsters International Airport. And you can see
not just that
even,
airport, just in general to Jamaica. But yeah, you say most of the tourists do go through that airport.
Yes, yeah, most of the tourists do go through that. And it's kind of cool that they're trying to build up Ian Fleming to. I actually really want to see that being built properly. So far, my friend flew up there and she said it was really cool and nice. So
wait, the
flights are cheap. From Ian Fleming in Ochi. Oh well.
Okay.
Yeah, the border. Yeah, yeah. She went to Florida. I think at the time they had daily flights in December to Miami International Airport, I believe. Really? So yeah, this tourism push is really December just gone. Wow. This tourism push is big. Like Edmund Bartlett, most underrated minister, because the man I don't see him on the internet. He doesn't really tweet or talk like that. He just does the work. I like that. And so he's been pushing very hard in this tourism industry. And you can see the same thing with ECL. I need to actually look at I'm trying to bring up their financials so I can see it personally. I know you're looking at it, but look at those numbers. That's pre-pandemic numbers. How high were they? The stock price?
Oh yeah, they hit a high of $8. Yeah, they closed at $8.46.
And that was 2018, 2019?
Yeah,
What's that?
2018.
2018.
Mm.
And you can see that dip when the pandemic hit in March. They dropped as low as $2. Oh wow, look at you. You drew lines.
Mm-hmm.
His support and resistance lines. It's giving Forex. But I rate it still because yeah, you can see that support. It's right at that support line right now of what? It's almost like $3, $2.50. So it's at its all-time or close to its all-time low. From
It's actually,
from listing.
You know what's funny about this? I was having a conversation with someone the other day, and they don't invest yet, but like they're they just got their job, they're learning, they're trying to do like understand the basics first. I'm encouraging them to set up an account, and I was telling them that I guess I was trying to like show her with the market. Like I was telling her, for example, their companies. Did you know that companies can report much more profits, not issue any more shares, and the stock price can be lower than when the company wasn't more profitable? And it's like to her, she's just like, wait, what? Like what? That can't happen. Like what? And I was like, yeah, like you have to factor in things like psychology. And I brought up Express even as an example. Not the example just in terms of profit, but I was saying, if you look at it, March 2020, that time period, for a long time, I don't remember exactly how long, but I think it was like a few months, there were basically no flights going through the airport.
Yeah.
And if this company makes money from selling food to people through that airport, and almost nobody is going through the airport, how are they really going to make money? So there was a time that it shows like, okay, people were just really didn't want it, and they were willing to sell it down to $3. And it's now almost 5 years later. Well, yeah, almost 5 years later. We're recording this February 2025, and the stock is basically at the same price. But
Crazy.
Is it doing the same? Like, look at, and yet we're hitting record. Record. I think we broke our
revenues.
No, well, not just. I was talking about. I think we did a record last. No, hold on.
Oh, yeah.
Last year was a little less. 2024 was a little less than 2023, but like 2024 was even better than like pre-COVID and stuff like that.
You're talking tourism numbers.
Tourism numbers, yeah.
Okay.
And if you read articles about a lot of the, I have so many tabs open, a lot of the different people in like the tourism industry, or they have been kind of hinting, I guess, at what kind of demand they are seeing like for the tourism season. And a lot of them, I've noticed, they've been saying that, hey, based on what they're seeing, bookings. There was an article that even specifically, I think it said so far, like, maybe I can try to find it, like how, based on the bookings, it's like we're tracking ahead of 2024. So like this winter season so far, based on the bookings, could be better than 2024. I think it may have been like 10% or so, or like 12%.
Yeah.
I'll try to find the art. I don't know, it's not opening. But yeah, so it's like we could end up having, I guess, a really good winter tourism season based on the bookings and so far. I guess you could always say, oh, but they haven't actually come yet and stuff like that. But I mean, we're recording this end of February, early February, so we're into that tourism. I think technically the season, or I don't know what JIS isn't loading. I think technically the season ends April 15th. So there is still some time, but yeah, it's going to be pretty interesting, because one of the things I did notice about Express, they had less people going through the airport, because like there were things that went on.
Marginally less though. It wasn't that much.
Yeah.
Less.
I'm trying to remember the exact number, but they had less people going through the airport, but they're reporting more revenues, more profits. So, and then the other thing that I guess I found interesting about Express,
what does that kind of tell you? Because
they raised prices, and they actually cut down a lot of costs. I think it was their administrative costs.
Yeah,
like they cut it down significantly. Like significantly, yo.
Yeah, the business is way more efficient.
Yeah, I think it was pretty significantly. Yeah, For the 6 months, November 2024, admin costs of 3.2 mil US versus 3.9 mil US. I think they actually tell you their numbers, separately, like how many.
Like the passengers themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, see? Right there. 480,000 passengers compared to 500,000 passengers the year before.
Oh, yeah, I was right. The revenue was actually slightly less, but their gross, because they raised prices, their margins improved. They actually reported more gross profit.
Yeah.
And then they contained the costs. So yeah, they're actually more profitable. Their profit is this is like 40% ahead. And the interesting part is that this isn't their best period.
That's what
so it's
I'm
like,
saying.
what's gonna be because their quarter is the weird one. So it's December, February,
which
is almost, that we're in February now.
Q1.
And then they report that, so that's Q3.
So that's March, April, mid-April. That's their
Mid-April.
Q3s. Yeah.
Which is when
they have up to mid-April to
the winter
report.
tourism season ends. So I guess it'll be interesting to see like what is said about that. But yeah, it's pretty interesting because I know Bartlett. If you read like articles about the tourism the sector, like Bartlett, there are lots of stuff like him and his team have been setting up a lot of new flights and new partnerships. So like they're like, partnering with this other company or this country, adding in these new flights. I'm trying to see if I can find some specific example.
I think a couple of years ago we started taking direct flights from like Switzerland. Recently, I think we do.
Yeah, I think they're pushing for more Europe.
We have like Middle East now, I think. I'm not sure if it's Dubai or something, but we have some partnership with them. We have a lot of different partnerships around the world now.
Oh, I found an article that said, so this is a Loop article. This came out December 31st, 2024. Winter tourism season to bring in 1.6 million airline seats to Jamaica. I don't know, is this quoting? Oh, this is quoting the minister. He says, this is going to be the best winter season on record. First winter that we have 1.6 million seats. That's 100% of the flights. But if we consider 80%, we'll be looking at 1.3 million visitors, which is 12.8% higher than last year. Well, 13%.
And that's so conservative. Look at that. Even if it's not the 1.6, if it's 1.3, it's still 13% higher than last year.
I'm wondering what the typical percentage is though. That'd be interesting.
Yeah.
Now, what's the typical, like, is it 90%? Is it during like high demand time and stuff like that? I know like if you're someone who wants to fly in now, it's very expensive. So yeah, I'm trying to see if I can find some of the partnerships that I was reading about. There have been a lot of you know what I'm talking about? Like you've seen some.
No, I know exactly what you're talking about. So I said, I think a lot of them go under the radar, but you can see the frequency with which we form a lot of these partnerships with international countries. Sorry. And you'll see it. I mean, I saw him on what was it, Bloomberg? You can literally see the work he's been doing. The Honorable Edmund Bartlett. So yeah,
I'd love to have him on.
Yeah, that would be cool. Yeah.
I know one of the things that they seem to be pushing is luxury tourism, They're like trying to shy away from things like I think some of the all-inclusive stuff, and they're working on different styles and stuff like that, like more luxury and stuff like that. I think that's what they're doing in St. Thomas.
Sandals and them place that where we can't afford. Well, me can't afford.
So yeah, I found one of them. So this was an article from Travel Daily News. This is some partnership. There was this company called TUI. They are like a tourism. Well, they own a lot of different tourism businesses. I think they own airlines and hotels and stuff like that. And I think they even own planes, and they were supposed to set up some sort of partnership. I think it's headquartered in Germany, one of the world's leading tourism entities. Worldwide, they have 20 million customers, travel agencies, hotel chains, cruise lines, retail shops, as well as 5 European airlines. and apparently we
Yeah.
are working on some sort of partnership
It's from
with
it. They're
them.
from. Look, it's majority. If you go up, it's from Italy and Spain, I believe. See there, particularly from Italy and Spain.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So even I think it'll be pretty interesting to see. One of the things that did stand out to me with Express, you saw there was like a very big trade recently.
Yeah.
December 6th, 120. Well, that day 122 mil shares traded.
Mm-hmm.
And when I look at it, there's only three shareholders who have that amount. One of them is an estate of this guy that sadly passed, I think maybe 3 years ago.
Harriet Mirage. Yeah.
He was apparently he was really big in building the tourism sector in like Jamaica and stuff like that. He worked with like some shipping companies and I guess Express too. Yeah, he's
I'm
the
always
third
wary
largest
about those kind
shareholder.
of things. Yeah, with him being so you look at we always look at top 10 and so on, but when you look at the shareholders and he passed, it's likely because it's the estate that holds it. It's likely they could cash out. They could sell. Right?
They have been selling though.
Yeah.
One of the things I guess I was looking at the Express, I think last year they paid 2 dividends, but they didn't pay any dividends for like 4 years. So I was actually wondering if that was maybe partly why the estates had to be selling, because we used to have income from that, and now we don't really have that income coming in from the dividends, so we're kind of gonna have to sell. But I was saying that my guess, I guess we have to wait for the next report to confirm. But it's only three shareholders own that amount of units. The 112 mil or something like that, or sorry, 112 units. So remember, it's at like $3 or so now. The estate of the guy that sadly passed, the National Insurance Fund of Jamaica, and then Margaritaville St. Lucia, which is like Ian Dare, his company and stuff. They did sell some recently in the last quarter. My guess it's either the National Insurance Fund buying from Margaritaville or buying from the estate. Because I noticed the National Insurance Fund has been buying.
They've been buying
pretty heavily. Like other companies, like I don't think they bought.
Yeah,
they haven't bought any.
They bought what?
With Cinco, they did a big trade. Yeah.
With Cinco, they've been buying. They've been active on the market. They're shoring up there themselves. And Jamaicans,
and it's kind of like how they buy. I don't necessarily just see them buying from the queue like actively on the market. It's like you'll just see a big trade go through. So yeah, they bought enough with Cinco, a few $1 billion with Cinco, NCB, Jamaica Producers, Sagicor, Grace Kennedy. So my guess is it's probably the National Insurance Fund buying from either the estate or maybe Margaritaville. Because when I worked it out, Margaritaville could have sold, and they still have control, like over 50% of the shares. So, yeah. So I guess
I don't really see Margaritaville selling right now either.
But they already sold some though.
Yeah, true.
You're saying that heavy a stake?
Yeah, because they probably sold to.
They've been selling though. They've been selling. The last quarter they sold 5 million units. The next one they sold 16 million units.
But they would, if it was, they would be selling what, like at least 10% of their current position.
Well, they need money, bro. They need money.
I guess.
And as I said, they could have sold and they still have control. So if they need the money to do something else, you don't know what they're going to do with the money.
Selling, you're right. The estate has also been selling too. So it's either one selling.
Yeah.
Either way, though, as long as I find a buyer, those our shareholders or they would be happy with that, because at least it wouldn't really hit them as hard, like on the open market, because a lot of this buying and selling isn't really being done on the open market. So, and with this now possible tourism boom, and you see them actually fixing up the companies are a lot more efficient, a lot more profitable.
It's actually funny. My mom went to the airport maybe like a few weeks ago, because it's more affordable to actually, like, if you take some people, what they do is that they'll actually take a Knutsford to, like, from Kingston or wherever they are, so they go to the Mobay, then take the flight from Mobay to wherever they're going. And I remember like her calling me, like she was telling me how expensive the airport was. Like I think a patty, I'm trying to remember how much it said. I think it was $8 for a patty.
Wow.
Yeah, $8. And like she was cussing and she's like, yo, what the hell? And I was just like, well, you know, like at first I was like, okay, damn, like yeah, that's pretty expensive. But then I was like, hold on, is the airport crowded? It's like are a lot of people
eating?
buying
Are they
food?
chilling? Yeah.
Yeah,
Is
are they
the
really
place
liking the food?
Is the
it
place
packed?
cool? Yeah, is it packed? Is it nice? Like, do people sit
Are
down?
people buying more than once?
Yeah, you know, are they sitting down eating? You know, is it our families?
Yeah.
Yeah, those are the questions. That's true. That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only problem is like something like this, you know, if you look at it, there's not a lot of demand for it right now. Like the same thing we're saying about with the IPCL. If you look at it, Express's buy queue, there's only $83,000 in the buy queue.
Yeah.
Or versus there's 2.2 mil in the sell queue. So it's like it's interesting because if anyone wants to buy, you're gonna just have to send it, and it's not like you can easily halt it. You could essentially easily send it up to $4. But then once again, if anyone wants to sell, they can't really sell much, and they're gonna have to sell it down to So I mean, yeah, I guess you just send it down below. Yeah, but yeah, I guess it'll be interesting to see how the tourism season, I guess, is this year. You know, hopefully we don't have any, knock on wood, we don't have any like, you know, major events and stuff like that. But Express, I guess, showed that, hey, even with some major events, they were still able to make profits versus a lot of the other tourism companies made like some losses or less traffic. I think CPJ hit a loss. I think eFresh had less profits. Dolphin Cove had the issue with the pier too, in addition.
Yeah.
So I think they had less profit and stuff like that, and they're probably going to report a lost Q4 too. So
yeah, possibly. That's also why they're not really on my stocks to watch for this quarter. So yeah.
I think the pair that mashed up near Dolphin Cove, the Ultra pair, I think that's supposed to finish September this year. And then once again, remember we said, with timelines, I might say September and it's December, it's next year, it's, you know, so even that is kind of tough. But yeah, I mean, something like that, I think we're definitely going to really push because, you know, it's tourism, so it's a really big part for us. So all hands should be on deck or something like that.
Agreed. But yeah, company I like. One to watch again. Yeah. Wow, we've been chatting for a minute. Do the people want another one? I feel like we should give the people another one.
We should ask the people, guys, do you want us to do another stock? Well, I mean, they said yeah.
You're not real. But all right. Well, let's run it. I mean, I think it's your turn.
Oh boy. Is it? Yeah, it is. Oh. Which one are we supposed to? So mine was Apex.
You did IPCL, yes. We can just look through the market. There are a lot of gems. Q1.
Which one?
It doesn't have to be something super. We'd have to go too detailed with it. But something that you see and you like.
Something like
I see your cursor is hovering over sterling, so I'm wondering, are you serious, right? A joke.
Trying to see.
Unless you want me to go again.
No. I can probably go. I could it's like Carib Cement. Yeah, cement company.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, Carib Cement, they are the single manufacturer of cement in Jamaica. They have, you know, like a legal, they have some laws essentially protecting them. Like the government has to give anyone else who wants to sell cement in Jamaica, they would have to import it, and then the government only gives them essentially like a limited amount that they can import. So it's like Carib Cement basically has, I think they do like probably 90% or so of the market.
Yeah.
So it's almost a monopoly. They have been around for many, many years. They have gone through like some tough times. Funny, like we're just saying now, IPCL. Think about Carib Cement. There was a time where Carib Cement, I'm sure like they were showing the buy queue of Apex, where there's like no buyers. Carib Cement's queue probably looked just like that too. People did not really like Carib Cement company. But, you know, they've turned around. They faced their tough stuff. So far, they're having, last year was their best year yet. And the year before was also was the best year at the time. The year before that was the best year. So they have had best year for like a while.
Yep.
And one of the things that, you know, is interesting about Carib Cement is that the Jamaica is going through a big, I'd say, infrastructure upgrade. You know, there are a lot of housing schemes, a lot of hotels, a lot of developments. We're trying to work on a lot of roads or highways. Just a lot of infrastructure is being developed like in Jamaica. And for a lot of those things, you'll need variable amounts of cement. And once again, if the only way you can get cement is Carib Cement, you know, and Carib Cement can make that cement profitably, there's a high demand for cement. And, you know, they even have times, for example, where their cement is actually short because, you know, they have sometimes like to make the cement, it's a very complicated process. The machine, just like we said with Apex, the machine can go down at times. Sometimes there's planned maintenance that you have to do for the longevity of the machine. During that maintenance, you're not going to be able to make as much cement. So there will be times where you have shortages, but Carib Cement has essentially said that, hey, we can only produce as much cement as we want. So what we're trying to do is upgrade. So they have spoken about upgrade of their factories, their kiln, which is like the machine that they used to make cement. They have been speaking about that for some time now. I think the last date kiln that 5. They said was, I think, by June this year. I think it was June this year. Let me double check. So this is a article from Global Cement.
30% increase?
Yeah, it's a pretty big, like 30% more cement. You know, that's possibly 30% more revenues.
Yeah.
And, you know, let me see. So this, it said this. So this is from globalcement.com. Carib Cement reaches new milestone in expansion project. This was 17th of December 2024. They say the project is to be completed in the first half of 2025. So, I mean, in 2025 now, first half would be by possible June. And it's supposed to actually make them more efficient, more stable. Hopefully, maybe that means less downtime. And so it will be interesting to see, because even something I'm watching for, the budget, the Jamaica budget, which is usually done like March. We should probably do like a video and stuff on that too. Drop a comment below if you think we should. But I think that's going to be interesting, because you'll probably see maybe more. Well, you can see like a breakdown of, okay, how does the government plan to spend some infrastructure upgrades on this project and stuff like that. So yeah, essentially I'm just seeing there's a lot of demand for cement now. There's a lot of incoming and increasing demand for cement. So Carib Cement is seeing that increase coming in. So they're saying, hey, we need to be able to capitalize on this. And even if we, for example, right now, what if they can supply all the market's needs and more? They can even export until the market catches up. You know, there was a point where Carib Cement was actually exporting cement to other countries. You know,
was one of them like Trinidad or so on?
Yeah, I think we did.
It's funny because the sister company is also over there. Well, the parent company. TCL. So yeah, it's funny how that works. You know, we're exporting petroleum to Trinidad now. Kind of what?
I think I guess on another
with their supply. But we can talk about that in another episode. But
with like Carib Cement, I'm expecting pretty big things for them over the coming year, 2 years, 3 years. You know, a lot of infrastructure upgrades, and they kind of have that protectionism in place for them. So yeah, I think it's going to be there'll be some big revenues, big profits for them, and I think they'll get a lot of publicity. Yeah, because I think Carib Cement is coming from like $100 and something, right? 100 and, well, it was 140.
That was the highest.
146.
That was one day.
Yeah.
That was one day.
Hit a high of 146. Wow.
I remember that. Yeah.
And the thing is, I've noticed like the big shareholder who was selling, Mayberry Jamaican Equities, they are now the 10th largest shareholder. But at one point, I think they were like the 4th largest, if I'm not mistaken. They have been selling millions and millions of US of this stock, to the market. So I don't know if they have somewhat eased off with the selling and stuff. I guess we'll see, because I think that's one of the things I guess I think about. Well, much? That's 350 mil at the current price, bro.
Coming from, where they're coming from.
Yeah, but that's quite, that's like over 2 mil US worth. They could hold the price down somewhere still. So that's one of the things I guess I worry about. Like, okay, if it goes back up to 100 or whatever, will they sell it back down? I don't know.
True.
Yeah.
I guess.
But yeah, that's why I'm watching Carib Cement. Expecting big things from them.
You expecting greater dividends as well?
Yeah, that's true. How much was their yield? And I think it can take decent volumes too. Their yield last year at the current price, 2%.
At current price. Yeah, and this is when the price was, I remember it was like 60s, barely 70s.
Yeah.
And it's just risen now to like high 80s, almost 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nah, Carib Cement, really good company. Really good company. It's that Jamaican staple kind of company. It's one of those blue chips, as they call it. I think the main issue, you're right, with the main issue being, Mayberry selling more. I understand why I would do the exact same thing. if I was Chris Berry, I would do the exact same thing. So I can't even fault him, right? Even if I was a Carib Cement shareholder, I would just be like, well, just charge it to the game. Just one of those things, because yeah, like, what do you mean royalties? The parent company is taking royalties off top line and leaving minority shareholders with whatever else. Yeah, but
that's the power of ownership, though. If you don't like it, buy it.
Yeah, you mean if you don't like it, sell it?
No, I'm saying if you don't like it, buying from them or sell it. It's just once again, it's if your money. It's actually not even a top 10 holding for them anymore.
It's crazy how far that's come. Yeah. Look at them top 5 disposals. Q3 Carib Cement, 13 million Jamaican. Still slowly getting rid of that assets. Well, it's 2023 still. Not as much now, but yeah, Carib Cement. Also one, I don't know. Will they keep selling when the company is doing so well? Maybe, out of principle. I respect it. I respect it. Okay. One to watch. Another one to watch. Let's just run off a couple more then, because I feel like we can just go faster. We spoke about one in our stocks to watch. I think we should go into, let's just touch on it. I wanted to touch on it because there's certain things that we didn't say in that stocks to watch, and it's Mailpac. Now, Mailpac, a lot of people should know what they do. They're a logistics company. You can order things online, ship it to their warehouse in Florida or so on, and then they fly it here. And they also have Mailpac Local as well, where it's more like a distribution business, groceries here, and partnership with PriceSmart and all these other entities, Hilo, I believe, as well. And so Mailpac, their best quarter is usually their Q4 of the year, which is October, November, December. Usually they're best in terms of revenues and profits, usually. And we expect good things from them.
Usually, you
wouldn't say usually?
Yeah, if you check it back, it's not really like it before the COVID period. I think it was consistently, but ever since then, I think if you check all the reports, I don't think it is.
Would we really know outside of, I guess, in the prospectus? Yes, the prospectus did give us that historical data, but
I don't think it's really, since listing, I don't really think they've.
It's been their best, maybe. Yeah, true. Maybe. have like
But
one-off expenses and so on.
Yeah, hold on, I can check though.
But revenues are usually up during that period significantly. So, and it would make sense because it's Christmas shopping, Black Friday, those kind of things. So that report. Well, they don't. Do they drop quarterly reports?
Yeah,
I
they
think they
drop a
drop
Q4.
a
Yeah, they drop a
Q4. And if you drop a unaudited Q4, it's 45 days after the quarter ends. So we're expecting that around mid-February to see if they really were profitable, that much more profitable or not. But they listed when? They listed 2019.
End of 2019, yeah.
End of 2019. So their tax break is kind of coming to an end in terms of their full tax break. Now they'd have to be paying half tax, which is a 12.5% corporate income tax. So if you actually look at the numbers, you factor in how much money they'd have to be spending in terms of, tax, it can definitely eat into the profits. I mean, imagine now after everything, you have to pay a 12.5% on the money you're earning. If you didn't bingo that quarter,
I think the acquisition was definitely something that they wanted to they probably definitely wanted to close on it this year because they knew something like that was coming up. Even something like, I think Fontana is the same thing, Fontana is buying Monarch Pharmacy, and I think their tax break ended earlier this year. Or sorry, earlier, mid 2024.
Yes.
So yeah, it's like you see, okay, I know I'm going to start having to pay all these heavy taxes. My profits are going to drop. I need to do something to increase the profits. And one of those ways is you grow inorganically, or you buy another company. You buy a competitor. So
with them acquiring their competitor, MyCart Express, who is the second largest logistics company like that in Jamaica, it should offset, but we don't really know. There's so much uncertainty because we don't really know MyCart's numbers. We don't know how they are financially.
But you saw some of the quarters though.
True.
They have been positively impacted.
They have been. But remember, we went through the same thing. This Q4 of Mailpac is just so uncertain to me. And then it's not even just me, because you can see it in the queue. Like, there was a ceiling, a price ceiling at $2.80. And then I remember seeing a lot more. Look at those heavy orders. Those are broker linked orders. That's a million plus 1.3 million units at $2.67 and $2.68 in total, right? And those, I feel like those weren't there at that price. I think they were like $2.70, so it's probably being inched down. Either way, though, I don't know. Like, it could be good, but then I'm looking at the queue and I'm just like, is it going to be though?
So if these orders got pulled tomorrow, what would your view be on it then?
I would still be quite apprehensive because.
So you don't think the orders are influencing your view of it though?
Partially. I think not just the orders. The orders, yes, obviously do influence my view, and they could be there as like a psychological thing so that the price doesn't go too high and so on. Yeah, if whoever wants to get units at this low price or whatever, I don't know. But at the same time, it's not just the orders. It's even my experience. It's even looking historically at their Q4s, just to see, have they actually been doing really well? Yes, you expect them. Theoretically, they should be doing well, but in actuality, when you look back on the Q4s, have they all been doing really well? Not necessarily. So
I'm actually interested too, because I'm wondering if the Q4 is actually not very hot. But I'm wondering
and the tax.
It'll be interesting because if it drops, and then people may forget the Q1, Q2 last year. And then let me stop talking.
But those are the questions we ask ourselves too, right? So yeah, real. And then now with this acquisition, so I just want to see more of the data on MyCart. It's a bit, I don't know, it's a bit too risky for me, but it's something I still am looking at because Imagine if those orders are pulled, significant, just gone, right? And then the stock starts to creep up. There's even a play that you can do before the report drops in anticipation of a good report.
The
But
report
yeah,
is what? February.
the latest, the
Hold
5th,
on,
the
did they
14th is the
switch?
Friday.
My manager is saying it's March 1st. Did they switch to? They switched their reporting period?
To the 60 days?
Yeah.
No longer
Did they?
unaudited? Well, I don't know. Maybe. We'd have to look for that, to be honest.
Yeah, because they say unaudited. Because I don't know if it's that my manager is wrong or they maybe switched it. Because this is saying March 1st. But it really should be middle of, well, could be, if it's the Q4 they're dropping, it would be mid-February.
Mid-February.
Interesting. And I'm not seeing the announcements about
True. We can look for it off air, because then you can kind of calculate, like estimate time and timing and so on, and get more granular with it. But it's just those points that I wanted to make about my Mailpac. Like, yeah, it's definitely one to watch, and definitely one I'm watching specifically for this quarter of the year, Q1 2025. But what will they do? What will they do? It's going to be interesting to see the report, and we actually come back to the podcast and talk about it. We can have a proper session, and Meds like, yo, were we right in terms of our predictions? Is the tax break too much for them, in terms of profitability, or did the MyCart acquisition really and truly help them? So let's see. The other thing too is, we spoke about it earlier, in terms of MyCart shareholders, like the principals and so on, getting shares in Mailpac. Also just something that I'm wary about, as to, when they get it, if there's a vesting period, all of those kind of things. Because, I mean, if I'm getting shares and this is a great way for me to liquidate, why not just sell on the open market? Not saying I could sell tomorrow. Don't think so. I don't even know if that's complete yet. I need to actually look back, because previously I remember it wasn't. But
I think it was dependent on the performance of the business.
Up to a certain time period.
Yeah. I think it may have been
up to, I think, March or something.
Yeah. Actually, I think it was March. You're right. March was in my head.
Yeah, I think it's March. I remember looking at that. Yeah, it's a have a read, have a research, Have to research these things, because acquisitions can be great, but there's a lot more that goes on behind the scenes. Yeah. So it's just that's also something I'm wary about, but I need to write out all those points and then make a decision, because scared money don't make money. Like, they could literally bingo this Q4 and send the price to like 350. So yeah. Yeah, just another thing I need to look at. But I like that industry though. Logistics, I kind of like that industry. And I wish more would list. I like the fact that Mailpac is there. Maybe a rocket ship one day.
They could sell to Mailpac to list. Just be a part of the mail. But no, I think they're gonna call it MyPac Group.
Yeah, MyPac Group.
I don't think they'll change the ticker, but I think a bit of MyPac Group. Yeah.
Yeah. For me, just another stock to watch, to be honest. Very interesting things going on over there. Very, very interesting thing. You think we have time for another stock? I feel like we could maybe do one more. I don't know. What's the time?
You had a specific one?
We're almost at 2 hours. No, not really. I don't. Just freestyling it right now. I wonder if people like this kind of freestyle, just relaxed vibe, chatting about stocks. I hope people like it, because this is what we live for.
Certainly.
Any company that takes your eye. Oh, I see a few companies still, but in terms of them, me looking at them specifically for this quarter, whether for good news or bad news, I'm not entirely. timelines. Yeah, I'm seeing so many companies, but it's just timelines. Like you even have it over a separate timeline. Indies timeline. A lot of these timelines.
Yeah, I mean TransJam. I'm watching it because I know there have been talks about the government essentially selling their stake, the rest of their stake. They sold their stake to us, the public.
80%.
Yeah, they sold their stake that they owned through the National Road Operating and Construction Company, otherwise known as NROC, and then they are going to sell the rest of the company, which is the 20%. I think it'll be pretty.
2.5 billion shares.
He has a lot of money. The current market price is valued at 10.1 billion. I guess that's something I am watching because it's going to be interesting to see how they structure it, because there's so many ways that they could, I guess, try to set it up. I wonder how imaginative they're going to be, because it's probably going to be NCB. NCB has a heavy association with TransJam, and I think they did the IPO, and then they also are, as you can see, they're some of the largest shareholders. Fourth largest, a bunch of them either NCB or NCB affiliated, a pension or a managed account, or they're heavily affiliated with TransJam. It's gonna be interesting because if you look at off of a sales, sometimes will come out below the market price. So I remembered, one of the ones that I looked at, this might be the last, this is the one that I found happened on our markets. I think it's the most recent in terms of our listed company then offering, as in the company is already listed, and then a shareholder saying, hey, if you want to buy my shares, you can buy it at this price. Was Access Financial. Access Financial, apparently late 2019. So they actually, if you look at it, at the time, let me probably zoom in. At the time that, so Proven was like a big shareholder in Access, and they were like, hey, we want to sell down our stake. Right? And we will sell it at this price. So I think at the time the shares were like trading at like $40 or so, and then Proven Head said, hey, you can buy our shares at a discount, $32. And the logical thing, I guess, happened. If say you bought at 20 and you're now sitting on 100% gain at $40, it's at $40, you're at 100% up. I'm telling you can buy all the amount of units and more at a cheaper price than it's trading at now. You could sell at 40, and if you wanted, you could buy back in at 32. So the natural thing happened, the share price fell, and a lot of people got in at that 32. And since then, I don't think it's just really the offer for sale. The business hasn't really, I guess, been performing as well. Wow, it's almost at a low. Wow, $17. Wow. But yeah, I guess I'm just interested to see what price is it going to come out at, because my guess is like the government doesn't really want to necessarily sell, like, say 10% of the shares and then have to sell the rest at another. I think what they do is they want to fully sell off their stake. So it's like, hey, we need to probably give it at a price that is attractive to the markets,
Yeah.
And I think also they're going to probably try to like talk about the dividend yield and factor that into the offer to say, hey, you can get this kind of yield on it. So I want to say that, and the lower the price they sell it at, the higher your yield if they're paying the same amount of dividends. So I want to see what price it's going to come out at. I think it's actually even funny when you look at how the market reacted to because I think the Prime Minister at the Jamaica Stock Exchange conference was the one that announced it. That, we're going to be offering up. I think they, in the prospectus, I think they had outlined that, hey, we're going to sell, but he was the one that had said, hey, we're going to sell. And if you see, I mapped it out here, I think it was January 21st when he said it. And if you notice the amount of trades went up significantly, and the price actually dropped. It dropped as low as like $3. What is this? $3.87. At the time it was announced, it was like $4.31, and I guess that's probably people kind of scared because they're like, hey, what if they offer it at $3? What if they offer it at $3.50? It's at $4.30. Like, I could just sell now and buy back in at that price. So I guess it's gonna be interesting to see that, because once again, I said, they're probably gonna want to sell off all of their shares. I mean, they'll probably approach some people before to say, hey, would you like to take up some of these when it comes out?
Yeah.
So that, they have an offer that's, I mean, it'd be interesting too, because I would want to say, what if it's
how could they structure
even
it?
oversubscribed too?
Yeah, it could be.
And I guess it's even how would they do the allocation for that too? Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of things that could be really interesting with that. So I don't know. It'll be interesting. The price, the time it comes out.
The time, because people think it's gonna come out now. Yeah, but it could literally take a long time.
Yeah, I don't think he gave. Did he give a
time? I can't recall.
I think he maybe said this year, but I'd probably have to. Let me see. TransJamaica. Yeah, and even if he says this year, like, that doesn't necessarily mean it's gonna be.
Panic, panic setting.
Yeah.
Panic setting.
So yeah, I think that's gonna be some pretty interesting. Definitely gonna try watch out for some information on that.
Yeah. So
yeah.
You said the thing is,
well, if this article is right, it says the government will soon be. It doesn't, and I mean, his soon might be different from your soon.
True, because there are a lot of companies that are government owned that they say should soon IPO, and all no, we don't see them. I remember Nigel Clark. I think was he the one talking about Soapberry, Jamaica Mortgage Bank, all of these other companies, and all no. So we don't know when soon is. It's just interesting because they as you're right, they could structure it so. We don't know how they would structure it. We really don't. And the thing is, the business is still good. It's still paying dividends, right? Mandeville Leg's supposed to come in soon. Those revenues, which would theoretically increase the dividends. The dividend yield is supposed to increase this year. I don't know if that was the strategy, or we just go dump it and lower the stock price so that the dividend yield goes up. I doubt that was the actual strategy outlined in the prospectus. But it's still a really good business. And in my head, I can see a ton of companies that would want to buy into this offer for sale. Like I think of even Mayberry. Why is Mayberry not in this? I feel like this is a stock that Mayberry would have been buying from. Not even if not after IPO. Like
they have the heavy dividend payments. I always wondered.
And cap gains.
And
right?
Yeah, but I'm saying that I know they like their dividend income. So.
So why were they not really and truly in this? There are a few other companies that missed out on something like this. So in my opinion, there are a lot of companies that would want a large stake, and this is a great way for them to get a foot in the door. And I would hope that happens. And there's very little that's left for retail. Not to bash you guys, obviously, because if you want the stock, it's selling Monday morning. It's on the market right now. But yeah, I wouldn't mind a heavy, the industry, those pension funds, etc. I wouldn't mind them buying in heavily into something like this because it's Jamaican operated company. It's infrastructure and it pays great dividends. I think it's right up the pensions alley. So let's see. Another one to watch. What did you guys think of this episode? I wish I could hear you guys. We should do a live session one day. For sure, to incorporate people in the comments, just people a part of this discussion, because I mean it's just me and Preston chatting, but we'd love to hear from you guys as well. If you guys want to hear us do a live session, just comment down below. Right? If you love this episode, just like, share, subscribe, tell a friend, all of them things, because we really and truly appreciate it. Right? And yeah, have fun, happy investing. Limitless out.